Live from London, it's Car-Boyz. Yeah, it is. Welcome back, one and all. We're back again on a Sunday morning, which is a bit of a shocker for us. Usually I don't see such things. I've had to miss out church, which is terrible. But I've got a new sponsor for the show, vodka, which I thought was perfect for a Sunday morning.
Good, easy like a Sunday morning.
Easy like a Sunday morning with vodka. Smell the potato goodness on that one. Good day to you all. Welcome to the show. We are back, feeling good. No signs of coronavirus whatsoever. I've taken my temperature rectally as usual, and it's fine. Now, unlike every leader in the Western world who appears to have coronavirus, we have not got it. Our masks have been on all week. It's the best cure. Our hands have been washed, and we'll be keeping the recommended distance of 2 meters away from each other and even our significant others, which makes sex very interesting. This week on the show, we've got all the big news that's fit to print in the news. We have all your correspondence in the mailbag this week. As per usual, it is overflowing. And what would the show be without the classic car selection? And this week, we unpack the colours, we prepare the hairdryer, and get ready to give Mrs. Sharples a perm. Yes, the car that became synonymous as a hairdresser's form of transport in the 1990s, but in fact was the best 1960s British sports car that the Japanese ever made. That'll keep you guessing. And no, it's not a Mini. But talking of Mini drivers, and I mean the people, not the actress, here's Simon.
I am indeed a Mini Driver, but actually, what did happen to Mini Driver? She did a few good films and disappeared.
Her head was just getting too big. She had a very angular, big head. They could only go, 60, so was it 16 by 9? They could, 4 by 3 was terrible, 16 by 9, and that was it. We can't go. We've got no, so she just got dumped.
And of course, she also had a brother, which was called, his name was Screw.
Hey, thank you!
Yes, it's the show that likes to tell you how it is from the tough front line of the motoring world. We're back with a vengeance. We're taking you for a wild ride today through the world of cars and motors to also strap in and buckle up. It's going to get hairy, as they say. This week, we've got more weird and wonderful roads from the world in the Lost Highways, which is all good. I know Rich has been on one of them before. And as mentioned by Rich, we'll be answering the questions from the viewers in the mailbag. And of course, we have a competition on this week's show. This week it's called the United Colours of Cars.
Ooh.
Not a bit of knitwear to be seen.
No better.
So stay tuned for that and more. I'm Simon Sujoin, and hey, as someone says, you're in the wrong place, my friend. You better leave. Sorry, that's my Bob Dylan impression. And the only sound that's left is the ambulance goes, and Cinderella sweeping in up the desolate road.
Yes, a singing voice, just as sweet as Bob Dylan, Simon. And this album, and of course, this episode of the show is named after the famous album Highway 61 Revisited, because it's episode 61, which is pretty obvious. I'm Richard Green, and how does it feel? How does it feel to be without a home, like a complete unknown, like a rolling stone? The lyrics there to Like a Rolling Stone by Bob Dylan, a man who won the Nobel Peace Prize a few years ago.
Yes, he did. Still
sounds like a cat being strangled in a Hessian sack. On your own, and this is Car-Boyz, the show. Right. I've hurt myself. Time on the show for Richard's Take. It's when I take a look at the world from my own view, which can often be different from the norm, but will certainly be entertaining. I have mentioned before, there is no room for dissident, discord, or complaints from the groundlings. I am omnipresent as ruler in this section of the show with the divine right of kings, so all praise me. Right, got that out of the way. This week, I've decided to focus on the confusing world of signal or turn lights, indicator lights in the UK and signal lights in the US, because you Americans have to have descriptions for things which are so bloody literal and phonetic. Anything that slightly differs from the norm would cause your brains to explode. But I digress. Far be it from me to be Mr. Picky, but do have a habit in America of having your turn lights or signal lights in red rather than orange. In the UK, it's illegal to have a turn light in any other colour than orange. And to be honest, it stops a great deal of confusion when you catch a glimpse of the rear of a car. Oh, red light, this guy's going to brake. Oh, orange light, he's going to make another manoeuvre. And yes, I also love those idiot truck drivers, always in the UK, always van or truck drivers, who replace their brake lights with white lights. You suddenly see two white lights come on, two reverse lights on the back of a pickup as it grinds to a halt. You know he hasn't just rammed the car in reverse. Bugger me, what does this mean? Oh yes, it means he's an idiot and he's changed his red tail lights for white, because that's all he had in his toolbox. And the word tool is the word I think of when I have to jam on my brakes to stop me crashing into this idiot. Right, I digress. The reason for the treatise today is that I've been noticing that tail lights, signal lights, indicator lights have been getting smaller and smaller as cars have been getting bigger and bigger, maybe in the last 20 years or so. The reason I came up with this is I was jogging through the streets of London last week, and I ran past a London bus that's orange turn signal, it's a brand new one, single decker, was about that wide. The bus is 30 feet long, 8 foot wide, and about a 2-inch indicator light. I think I've got a picture. You could see the bus from space. The indicator light, it's tiny. So I think it's the third one from the top, right next to the number.
Yes.
I'll get it there. That's the indicator light, but it's tiny LEDs. Lots of new innovations in safety on the Routemaster bus, but obviously not in regard in telling fellow drivers where the hell you're going. Now, my dad had his first car at 16. 1940s Ford Popular, had holes in the floor and wasn't fast. It also, the brakes didn't work, as he found out one day. When he dropped my grandmother off at work at Woolworths, he had to brake the car, stop the car, and it didn't work. So he ran the vehicle into a series of garden fence posts until it came to a halt. They popped up in the air like a Tex Avery cartoon. And when the car did stop, my grandmother got out in disgust and just walked on. Now, suffice this to say, my father just reversed the car out of somebody's front garden and drove off. It was different times. I would have done exactly the same thing. Now, with this old car, he complained, this is the point of the treatise, he complained that the indicators were terrible alarms that shot out of door pillars.
Yep.
They were like this. They would also get stuck all the time. So you'd be driving around, you'd indicate, you'd pull up, you'd get out your car, and as you exited the car, you'd knock these things off. So by the time, so it was constantly picking them up off the floor. Now, by the time I was a lad, indicator lights were huge things the size of your head. My dad's Cortina. This was by the early 1980s. Look at the size of that indicator light. It's like 4 times the size of the one on the bus. Orange signal lights on my old Ford Escort had huge things the colour of traffic cones. I think Neil Armstrong could see me make a right turn in my old 1980s Citroen from space. But weirdly, more and more, indicator lights are becoming smaller and smaller. Peugeot started doing this in the early 2000s. They also moved the indicator lights to the inside of the light cluster, either side of the number plate. You were going, well, hang on, yeah, I guess you're going left, but that's a very strange place to put them. Also, they introduced LED bulbs about 20 years ago. It was making them more clear. Yes, the car would look more sexy, not sort of, I mean, the rear of this car is anything but sexy, really, with this great big plastic. Yeah, but you're a Ford fan, and you walked. Right. So, it is making the signal lights more obvious, but your mechanic, when they had the clear indicator lights in, also had to remember to put an orange bulb in and not a white bulb. So let me just tell you, if you drive around the streets of southeast London in particular, you will see plenty of modern cars with LEDs that are white, sitting right and left. I'm just saying southeast London. There's nothing wrong with southeast London, but that's where you tend to see it. So in a world covered in bubble wrap, where everything is a hate crime, Our cars have so many airbags. I'm surprised I don't take to the skies. Why on earth do we have smaller and smaller signal lights in stranger and stranger places, in stranger and stranger formations? Surely the safest way to not get in a crash and use all those 21st century devices to save your life, like side impact bars and roll cages, is to have indicator lights that tell your fellow motorists where the hell you're going. I include cyclists in that, but they don't seem to care anyway, even if they're about to be sucked underneath the wheel arch of an Arctic lorry. Mind you, indicator lights will only work as a driver if you actually use them. I refer you back to my point about Southeast London. Any thoughts, Simon?
Well, yes. One, it's usually Audi drivers that don't know how to indicate. Number one.
Yes. They are the new They are as orange is
Yes.
the new black. Audi drivers are the new BMW drivers.
Exactly. And number two, I think it's some kind of motoring law where the indicators on the front, they're usually combined with the daylight running lights.
Ah.
So, or the side lights, what we also used to call side lights. And the thing is, if you look on the buses as well, when the indicators go on, the white lights go off.
Ah.
So you've
okay.
actually got even less bulbs flashing in that little round circle there where the lights are.
Really, you just can't see the indicator light, and I think actually it's not a problem at night, but in the daytime, having this huge thing here going orange and going, I'm indicating, you go, oh, that guy's going down there. But a tiny, I mean, I think even this is pretty crap.
Yeah, because that's the indicators are the little tiny bits on the corner. So
yeah, well,
the C shape of the light is.
That's right. They're the C on one side and the D on the other side. But it's all I'm thinking of is that brief second when you go like this. Oh, well, you shouldn't be looking down anyway, but you do sort of, you're looking at one direction. Think that guy is definitely going there. That's great. I know where he's going. I just think it's. I mean, you know, that's a 40-year-old car, and the indicators are better than one that's 3 years old. Where are we going? It's crazy. Shall we do some news?
Yes, let's go for some news.
Hang on, let's have some news. Here we go.
And first off, this week in Yes, Electric Cars Really Are Just All Show and No Go news. According to the research out of Canada, so it must be trustworthy, shows that on average, the batteries in electric and hybrid cars lose on average 2% of their lifespan after just 1 year. Data site Geotab measures battery capacity of electric and hybrid models to discover how quickly they degrade in a mere 12 months. Tesla's battery days saw CEO Elon Musk, the electric Jesus, promise tabless battery in the next 3 years, and that will be up to 6 times more powerful than those currently based on the US firms' vehicles. While VW said it guarantees, now beware when VW guarantees something, that the lithium-ion pack in its new ID4 SUV will have 70% capacity after 100,000 miles or 8 years. With ban on petrol and diesel and hybrid cars potentially being fast-tracked a decade early to 2030, demand for electric vehicles is unquestionably going to spike, which is the new buzzword. Meanwhile, another report published last year by Plug in America, great name, reviewed the condition of typical Tesla batteries on the Model S. It claimed that after 7 years of use and repeated charges, the batteries will have a 93% total of its original capacity remaining after 7 years, suggesting it loses just 1% a year. However, Canadian company Geotab says that on average, drivers should expect electric vehicles' batteries to degrade almost twice as rapidly. Their survey showed that in 6 years, the average electric car will have lost more than 50% battery capacity. It's quite like an iPhone. Let's take a look at the top 5 cars that are the best performers for battery life. Over to our resident picker of the pop.
Yeah, not off, Simon. It's time for another classic Car-Boyz countdown. In at 5 with only 0.9% battery loss in capacity. It's Munich's finest. It's the BMW i3. Meanwhile, it's better news for the French. Japanese monster that is Nissan. Its Leaf only lets go of 0.8%. It's the smell of musk at 3 with Tesla's Model X. Only 0.7% of those electric horses have bolted from the stables. Another hit for Elon at 2 with the Model 3, the cheaper end of the range. It loses only 0.6% of battery capacity. But our big winner at number 1, the electric car that managed to beat the rest for the number 1 spot in the electric battery lifespan, is the Audi A3 e-tron. The Germans have it again with a loss of a mere 0.3% capacity. Let's hope their figures weren't submitted by parent company Volkswagen, who, as we all know, aren't good at keeping accurate records. Oh, lie down.
Right, not off.
Not off, mate. There you go. Shocker here, though, of this story at the other end of the chart is that the Toyota Prius loses more than 2% after a year.
Yeah.
And this is, we're talking about 2% battery storage. So if we've all got smartphones, if you're watching this, you probably have, you know how quickly your battery health starts going down the moment you buy a smartphone. The Kia Niro Third loses 3.5% of battery storage capacity. But this is the big one. After 1 year, the Mitsubishi Outlander Third loses 4%, which means after 10 years, the battery's only got 60% of its storage capacity left. In one word, this car is a pup, because nobody's going to buy this after 10 years. This is the whole stupid thing of the environmental debate, is that you are making cars that are worthless after 10 years, because this thing in 10 years will be worth what? Let's say conservatively $4,000. Well, it's not actually worth that, because the battery's nearly dead. So maybe it's worth $1,500, because you're going to have to put a $3,000 battery in there to keep the value of the car. It's ridiculous.
And what's also even worse is they're hybrids as well. They're not exactly just solely electric vehicles.
What will happen
constantly
is that
charging.
What will happen is this. So there is an old story about a water company in the UK buying this particular vehicle about 5 years ago. And the drivers were given the electric charge so they could charge it up and they could claim electricity back off work. And when they handed the cars in, none of the drivers had actually used it. And they found all the wires still in their plastic packaging in the boot, because they just drove them like cars. So what will happen at the end of this thing's life, the battery will be completely knackered. It won't storage, and you'll just drive it like an electric car. You go, oh, it's got the battery in. Yeah, that hasn't worked for years. And so you've not really solved anything or done anything. So it's just like a pointless bloody exercise to keep your road tax low. It's a bit like we said it years ago with diesels. When everybody was promoting diesel as the new green, you were like, diesels are filthy, absolutely filthy. And now suddenly they've gone, yeah, diesels are filthy. Yeah, we told you that 20 bloody years ago when you started promoting them. Yes, you get more out of the oil from the ground in a diesel. You get more MPG, but yeah, the stuff they shoot out the back is disgusting. As I like to tell people, there's a reason oil refineries are called refineries, because they refine the oil into petrol, which smells wonderful on a classic car. Should we have some more news?
Yes, go for it.
And in the kids won't be able to mix their Alco Pops and drive news, they shouldn't anyway, but they do. Young motorists could be forced to adhere to a 0 alcohol limit in the first few months after passing their driving test, as part of measures being considered by ministers to reduce the number of accidents on British roads. MPs this year have been discussing the introduction of graduated licences for new motorists under the age of 25, which could see them stung with nighttime driving curfews, only allowed to give lifts to certain passengers. This could never happen. Oh, right. And face Terry, a bit of bollard. And face speeding restrictions for the first few months on the road. A consultation has been opened this week into the possible introduction of a 0 tolerance drink drive limit for newly qualified motorists, following a recent study that suggested young people would support the move. Yeah. The measure's been considered to reduce the death count for the government to introduce graduated licenses, which could restrict young people who have passed their test to vehicles with limited power outputs, along with a draft of other constraints. I don't know if you've seen the black boxes that are now fitted to cars, which can reduce your insurance drastically. The latest of these is a zero tolerance in alcohol limits, alongside limitations on the number of passengers you're allowed to carry in a car. For the first few months after holding a license. Drivers in England, Wales and Northern Ireland are limited to 35 milligrams of alcohol per 100 millilitres of breath, the highest limit in Europe. Well, surprisingly, Scottish drivers only get 22, which I thought even babies in Scotland had 22 milligrams of alcohol in their systems at all times. I thought that was the law. Yeah, this baby's sober. What's going on? This is fine and dandy. It doesn't take into account kids in rural areas, though, that rely on 100% on their cars. I grew up in the countryside.
What that picture doesn't show is there's probably a couple of other people on the parcel shelf as well.
Oh, yeah, we've been in those cars. Get Terry in the boot, we'll be fine. I do remember being in the front of an old Mini, and I think we had 6 of us in it.
Brilliant.
The trouble with all this is, if you're a kid, and you have a drink of wine or half a beer, and you live in the middle of nowhere, how the hell are you going to get home? I think this is a bit of a falsehood, because there was a lot when I was in sixth form, the tail end of high school. I remember loads of people having accidents, and it wasn't to do with alcohol. It really wasn't. It was all to do with bad driving. All the accidents we had were 12-year-olds borrowing their mum's Volvo and turning it upside down in a ditch. It was always in a hedge or a ditch, and there was a sort of triangle of very tight roads near where my school was, and it was like the Bermuda Triangle for learner drivers and recently passed drivers. There was you could always see an overturned Nissan Micra, usually in a field,
and evidence of hubcaps being put on the side of the road. And of course, in that picture, Boris Johnson, it's fine because there's less than 6 households there.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Actually, that could be a couple of gay lovers, Simon. We don't know. We don't want to judge.
Obviously.
Out for a fun night.
Meanwhile, staying with death on the roads in new survey, it shows that Eastern Europe isn't the safest news. Britain does have the second safest roads in Europe.
Yes.
Second, while only Sweden recorded fewer deaths per million inhabitants, according to new certificates. The others were moose on the road. There are 28 deaths a year in the road per million per people in Britain, while in Sweden the figure is slightly smaller at 25, according to the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. Eastern regions of Europe have the worst fatality rates on the road per million people, with Romania propping up the charts with 99 deaths. Top of pops in order, the safest roads in Europe are number 1, Sweden with 25, number 2, UK with 28, Denmark number 3 with 34, Netherlands 31, is my friend and my lover. 5 is Ireland with 33.
There's nobody in Ireland, that's why it's so low.
Exactly. Estonia is 36. Joint 7, we have Germany and Spain with 39. The last one is very strange because you assume Germany is ultra safe, and you would assume that it's not by those statistics. At the other end of the scale, the culprits are the former Soviet Union blocs, which are in 24th place. Latvia, 70 deaths, which actually I thought the roads in Latvia were quite good. But hey, 25th was Poland with 75, Croatia 26 with 80, Bulgaria was 27th with 96, and 28th was Romania with 99. So there you go.
So it's very interesting, the Spain-Germany figure. So the joint in at number 7, and if you had to say which was the safest place to drive, I would have said Germany. But the problem, have you driven in? Well, yeah, we have. We've both driven in Germany, but we've driven a turban around Berlin, which I don't think.
Slowest car.
The slowest, most polluting car around a very green city. We didn't take it on the autobahn at 110 miles an hour. My stepdad used to drive through Germany all the time. He said the problem with the Germans it's very yes and no. So that's why they get into accidents. They don't. You're not in this lane. They don't expect other people to be dickheads. Whereas if you drive in the UK, I am constantly expecting people to make stupid moves.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think that's why the German rate is quite high. And Spain, it's all a bit laid back. No worries. Don't worry. Oh, shit, I've crashed into your Seat. Rather interesting, though, if you do live in London, you'll recognise the bottom of that chart. There's lots of foreign plates in London. Romania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Latvia, Poland. There's a lot of those guys offering their plumbing and building skills. Yes, they're not the safest drivers on the road. But in their defence, Polish roads are notoriously appalling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potholes out there. And finally, they've let the idiots run the riot news. E-scooters should be fully legalised within 18 months. If you live anywhere in the developed world, and maybe even the non-developed world, you are seeing idiots doing this all the time. Apparently, though, they must be kept off footpaths, which is exactly the opposite of what this little tool is doing here. MPs in the UK believe while the battery-powered two-wheel cars help cut journeys and pollution, they are a severe risk when used on pavements. I think the phrase "no shit Sherlock" comes to mind. Since July, the law has allowed local councils to authorise the use of rented scooters on the road, cycleways and tracks on a trial basis. Areas including Teesside, Hartlepool, Milton Keynes, Northamptonshire and the West Midlands have signed up. Safety helmets are recommended, not compulsory. The speed must be limited to a top speed of 15.5 miles an hour. Riders need a full provisional car, motorcycle or moped licence. None of them have got this. They must be 16 or over. However, the restrictions are being widely ignored as e-scooters whiz around on both the roads and the pavements. The Transport Committee has now called for a nationwide legalisation, including for privately owned models and for people without driving licences. The committee also said that e-scooters should be promoted only as an alternative to short car journeys and not to healthy forms of transport such as walking and cycling. Yeah. You can't frigging walk 10 miles to get to work. I'm sorry, it's not 1825. Watch this space, guys, for insurance rates to shoot up through the roof as these idiots get themselves stuck under the wheel arches of lorries and cars. Also, if you hit a pothole in this thing, you are going to go arse over tit. I guarantee it. I'm seeing more and more and more and more and more and more of them in London. And yesterday, as I came home from work, I saw a dickhead on a unicycle, an electric unicycle gyroscope thing. So it's about size of about, and he looked a little bit like who's the presenter of the Crystal Maze? Richard
O'Brien.
Richard O'Brien. Hello. And he came up beside me, and I just thought, what an absolute tool. I think it's insurance rates are going to go through the roof because there's going to be so many accidents with these things.
Yeah. Exactly, and the scooters don't have to get any insurance at all whatsoever, do they?
No insurance, no MOT, no road tax, and I cannot believe that they're. I can't believe you're gonna. Well, a provisional car license means you just apply for a car license, doesn't it?
Yeah, doesn't mean anything really.
So as long as you've applied for a car license and say I've got a provisional license because I haven't passed my test yet, then you can drive one of those things. I don't think you should be driving them. I think they're quite good fun. Maybe if I was in somewhere like Santa Monica, I'd have it on the beach along the seafront. That'd be a bit of a laugh. Rent it for the day, but using it to commute. Watch this space, and we'll see what happens.
I'm slightly worried that you also think.
Sorry, you're
slightly worried that you think walking is a form of transport.
It's just a thing you do. I don't know. Yeah, it's very, very strange. The thing in London is they're telling everybody to walk.
Yeah.
You and me both live in London. Would it take you about 6 hours to walk to work?
Yeah, that's
6 hours. I think it would be a good hour, maybe an hour and a half for me to walk to work. I'm not walking to work. I've got shit to do. I've got people to see, places to be. I have small children to raise. And the scooter's great, but when I go to buy the food for my small children, I can't get it in the back of my rucksack on the back of a scooter. So I'm not going to get one of those either. And I'm not getting wet. I'm on my big, comfy, Japanese 3-litre car with pleather everywhere takes me to and from work in style. And that's the way it shall remain. Should we have some the band of...
Yes, bring the band back in.
Okay, band. In you come. There they are. Yes. Thank you, boys. Back in the basement. They're going through. They're trying to clean up at the moment. They're a bit on edge.
Going cold turkey.
Yeah, we've run out of heroin for the jazz band, and they're on methadone. Yes, time for the classic car selection. It's where we take a diamond in the rough, a car that was once loved or maybe was never loved. It's not expensive end. There's no Ferraris on here. I think we've done a Bentley once. There's no Rolls Royces. This is honest-to-goodness motoring, the cheaper end of the motoring spectrum. This week, we're turning the clock back to 1989. The Japanese motor industry came of age in that year. It assaulted the last bastions of European exclusivity with a number of unrelated new car launches. Lexus took on the luxury establishment. Of course, I think the L200, no, not
IS200?
IS200. Honda did the same with the supercars, the NSX, and Mazda built a traditional sports car in the shape of the MX-5. It looked like a Lotus, it sounded like a Triumph, and it went like an MG. Except, unlike our British sports cars, this thing didn't break down. In short, the MX-5, a model designated NA, was the perfect roadster for those who wanted traditional British sports cars experience without the associated worries, unreliability, and the oil leaks. With a twin-cam engine, the more powerful than the Lotus Elan, it apes, and I'm talking about the Lotus Elan from the 1960s, the MX-5 offers sufficient performance, though not enough to trouble the fine handling and grip that comes with the car. Over the years, the MX-5 has proved it can cover high mileage, fuss-free. Well, the only areas are likely to rust is in the sill joints along the rear wings. The lighter, earlier 1.6s are favoured, but the 1.8s are just much fun. If you want something that feels suitably classic, but doesn't have the reliability issues associated with cars built in the 60s and 70s, then the Mark I MX-5 is the car that you're looking for. Combines a classic shape engine with gearbox that can stand the test of time, and of course, it's got the pop-up headlights. You don't need to worry about not feeling part of the scene either. There's a well-supported owners club, lots of MX-5 specific events, and great parts supply. What should you look for when buying one? Obvious. Mark I has the pop-up headlights. Make sure they work. Make sure the hood isn't ripped. Make sure it's not leaking. The car will smell of mould if it is, and the carpet will be soaking wet. Also try and make sure the rear screen is glass, because the early ones had a fabric hood. Well, you know, the usual, start the car, look for blue smoke, noisy engine sounds, make sure you engage all the gears. These cars are over 20 years old now by now. That is a beautiful looking one. And have a good look around the engine bay. They're sports cars. Some have been ragged. Look for damage. Some have been clocked. If the car said it's done 50,000 on the clock and there's a worn driver's seat and a hole in the carpet by the accelerator, I guarantee somebody is misleading you. Also, certainly the car will be rusting around the rear wheel arch and the sills too. There's no simple cure for the rust, but preventative, I put my false teeth back in, preventative on all MX-5s is to use a wooden kebab stick. Poke the drain holes on a regular basis and you won't get the rust. Finally, remind yourself, this is a sports car. Many have been ragged to hell and back. Look for a good one. All that being said, there are plenty of good examples out there, but the Mark Is, which is the one you're after, are getting harder and harder to find. We found a 1995 model, 89k on the clock, full service history. I don't think I've got a picture of it, but it was in blue. And it's in very good condition for just under £2,500. But if you want something even cheaper, just go out and buy the new one. If you buy a new MX,
cheaper.
No, yeah, this doesn't make any sense, but this is the way it's gone. If you buy a newer, not a new one, go and buy the Mark II. We found a 2004 with lowish mileage for sub £1,500 prices. They're not going to drive as well as this.
Yeah.
This is the Mark Is are quintessentially fantastic. But, you know, if you can't afford that and you're thinking it's a 30-year-old car, it's, you know, this one's from 1994, just go to 2004 and honestly, you're seeing lowish mileage MX-5s for £1,500. So why not say, yes, please, or I think it's Harigato, to the best British roadster there ever was, designed and built by the Japanese. Hey, just remember, all those jokes about them being driven by hairdressers are just a thing of the past.
Because this is the car it was based on, the Lotus Elan.
Yes, which is there's one near me in a yellow, in canary yellow, and it stinks of petrol, but it's fantastic when you see it go past. Yeah, I mean, the Mark Is are superb. Absolutely
Yeah.
superb looking cars.
Iconic, I would say.
Yeah, if you can't afford that, I think it was somebody asking us the other week. They wanted a sports car, and we said I couldn't believe when I was looking at these things
Yeah.
how cheap they were for a 15-year-old sports car with no rust on, no marks, in good condition. £1,500 is nothing. It's nothing.
But
You could get one of those or an electric scooter.
I know which one I would have.
Yes, me too.
And also keeps me dry in the rain.
Exactly. Oh, unless the roof is knackered. Shall we have some? Oh, hang on, I haven't queued up the music. It's time for the Lost Highways.
It is.
All right, enough.
Of course, it is the time for the Lost Highways. This feature is where listeners email us in and give us their favourite roads and the reasons why they love them. It could be a quite coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight 2-lane blacktop that leads to infinity and invites you to gun the pedal to the metal. That is, of course, the Lost Highways. Whatever your poison is, let us know your perfect driving road here on Car-Boyz. Rich has the details.
I did. Somebody's moved it.
I have the details.
Hang on.
You can read it out. Read it out from here.
There you go. Email the Car-Boyz at carboys-boys@outlook.com. Facebook, we're car-boys, boys are those with a Z, at Car-Boyz, 4 Zs at the end. Twitter, car-boys, at car_boys, boys always with a Z. Instagram, at car_boys, with the 3 Zs at the end. The Instagram that's the porno one, isn't it? Oh, no, that's Twitter.
That's
Twitter.
Snapchat.
Oh, Snapchat, okay. Somebody told me the other day that Twitter's quite porny as well.
Oh, I'll have to check that out.
I'll have to check that out. Be reporting next week.
Obviously, for research purposes.
Yeah.
Doing so this week, and not sending us pictures. It's Kelly 24/7. Although by that name, I'm not quite sure.
Hello.
She says, "Hello, Car-Boyz from the other side of the world. I live here in New Zealand, and you guys can do a great trip up the Mount Cook. That's Mount Cook Road. I nearly said that wrong.
Did you nearly say something about the Kent countryside as well, Simon?
Yes. She says that the road hugs the brilliant turquoise Lake Pukaki. And the road to Mount Cook is astoundingly beautiful and definitely one of the most scenic roads in New Zealand. The highway follows the lake all the way up to the Tasman Valley, eventually ending in Mount Cook Village, and the ideal base for exploring the stunning national park. On a clear day, you'll see the Araki?
I don't know.
Or Mount Cook, the Australian's tallest mountain at 3,764 meters,
wow, that's
standing
cool.
imposingly at the end of the road. Unfortunately, she says it was obscured by clouds on most of her journey. That's a shame. There's a great lookout about halfway down the lake, which offers magnificent views of the imposingly blue lake framed by jagged snow-capped peaks. Beautiful place. I've never been to New Zealand. I'd like to.
No. It's a long way to go. My brother went and said it was quite cold. He did
it's a bit like Britain.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a little. It has that. He said it very much like the Lake District in the UK and Wales, rugged countryside,
and just as many sheep.
Yeah, just as many sheep. There's a lot of sheep worrying that goes on in New Zealand. It's very pretty though, isn't it? Now the one thing I do know about New Zealand is I worked with a guy in Asia, in Thailand, and his brother lived in New Zealand in a very remote area. So he went to visit his brother. Coming from Bangkok, there's traffic everywhere. It's insane. He went to visit his brother. His brother is literally an hour's drive out in the middle of nowhere. That's how it takes you an hour of solid driving to get to any civilization. Yeah. So he said one morning we got in his pickup truck. We drove all the way down to the town, and it's cool for an hour. We don't see anybody. And we got to a crossroads, and there was a guy waiting at the crossroads for the light to change. The light changed. He turned off left, and we carried on. And his brother, not a word of a lie, turned around and went, "Bloody traffic." One car. So it would be the perfect place to go driving because there's no people there. So we've got that one. Hakeem has got in touch with us. Wasn't Hakeem the son of in Coming to America?
Yes,
have you seen my son, Hakeem? Where is my son, Hakeem? Also, Hakeem has got in touch from Dartford in Kent. Now, he said he and his mates took a road trip from Labuan Banjo. God, look at that beach. To Momia in Indonesia. He stopped off on the way on the Komodo Islands, saw the world's largest lizards, the Komodo dragon. The road goes past the spiderweb rice fields of Rotang and the traditional villages of Bajawara. The town is sited high above the clouds and is located on the top of Mount Iniri, where if you're a little stressed, you can take a bath in one of the springs near the Kalimutu volcano and its 3 coloured lakes. Cool. Which changes when the sun rises. He said he did this journey and hired a Suzuki, which coped well with the roads. They weren't in bad condition. They were long and twisty, but don't look over the sides because some of the drops can be a bit hairy. Okay. Most rentals come with a driver. There's not many road signs and it's easy to get lost. The views that you get are incredible. You boys should give it a shot. Well, let me tell you now, I already have. I was here about 9 years ago, but I went to Labuan Banjo. I flew in there from Bali, which is it's a very cool town because you're the more Catholic end of Indonesia. It's less Muslim, and so people like a little drink. People like a little bit of this, and so you can actually go in the local bars, and it's not full of backpackers; it's full of locals, which is quite good fun, and you can hang out with them. They always want to, and their English is pretty good, so they want to have a chat to you. But we went from Labuan Banjo to another island, and then we went to Rincha, which is where we saw the Komodo dragons. And if you are thinking of doing this, once the COVID thing was over, do it as quickly as you can, because there's a news report out that the Indonesian government want to start charging people $1,000 per head to go to Komodo or Rincha Island, which makes it out of the... well, I wouldn't pay $1,000 to see a bloody lizard.
No, that's a bit odd.
But,
and the government's doing this.
What we should have done is the trip he's talking about, which was what my wife was saying we should have done. And I was like, yes, I should listen to my wife more. But the roads are very cool. You do need to hire. You're in these places, you can't just hire a car yourself because you're not going. There's no road signs. It's pretty off the beaten track. Yeah, but that sounds fantastic. I just love this pink beach.
Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it?
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, so I can thoroughly recommend that part of the world. As we said, yes, get in touch with Car-Boyz. Give us your lost highways. Email the Car-Boyz at car-boys@outlook.com. Facebook car-boys, boys always with a Z at out, Car-Boyz with 4 Zs. Twitter car-boys with a Z at car_boys with a Z. Instagram at car_boys with the 3 Zs at the end. Now I believe it's time to delve into the bulging sack that's known locally as the mailbag. This week, it's swollen, it's bulging. Nay, you could say it's engorged. Yeah, all right. Back in the basement, boys. Thank you very much.
Well, they'll be back. So, yes, it's mailbag, and Keith writes in. Keith writes in from Southwest London. He says, hello, boys. Hope you're all good. Yes, we're all good. I have a 15-year-old petrol Ford Focus. The car is a bit boring. I want something a bit more sportier. I need to get my kids and stuff in the boot. Well, not the kids, but the stuff in the boot.
Hang on, are you reading the right ones?
I don't know. This.
I think you're reading.
Maybe not.
Hang on.
This is last week's ones.
I think that's last week's ones. Shall I read these?
Yeah.
Kurt writes to us from London. He says, hello, Car-Boyz. I hope you're good. He's driving an old diesel car.
Oh, okay.
A 2011 Vauxhall Insignia for men. I think this is the Africa edition. It's a 2-litre diesel. He's worried it will not comply with the ULEZ zone extension. Should he buy a new car? Well, yes, because it's a Vauxhall Insignia.
I'm also worried about that the gap between the grille and the bonnet. It's huge.
Oh, yeah, but hang on a second. Look, I think that bonnet's closed. Look at that other. I think this may have been in an accident. Can you see it gets wider? It starts off this side. Right, let me get my finger. Yeah, quite flush. And as we go up here, that gets wider and wider. You get your fist in that end. You may need a new car anyway. Oops. Okay. We checked with TfL. Your car is not compliant with ULEZ. So this means, but it's really weird to work because he's not saying where he lives. I live in 6. I only work in 4, zone 4.
Right.
the ULEZ zone is the same as the congestion charging zone. So we were just talking before the show about driving down the A40, which turns into the Euston Road, which good news for people. They're about to reopen the Euston Road and put it to a dual carriageway, get rid of the stupid bloody cycle lane that nobody's been in. That's not in the congestion charging zone. As coming from Hammersmith and going it up to Pentonville, everything on the right-hand side is congestion charging zone. So if you're not going into that, then you don't need to change your car. So if he's driving outside at, say, zone 1, then you can probably get away with keeping this. But next year, Asian Mr. Bean is looking to extend the ULEZ zone, I think, to zone
North Circular and South Circular.
North Circular and South Circular. So this car again would not be compliant, or it would cost you £12.50 a day to bring into that zone. But there again, if you're not, I mean, it depends where he lives in London. He's not been specific enough. Check the TfL website, because not all diesel cars are banned. I looked up a 3-litre Audi A8 2015, and that is not banned because of the emissions levels are a lot healthier. But yes, just get rid of this car anyway, because it's a Vauxhall Insignia.
It's got a big hole in the bonnet.
And it looks
like it may have been an accident.
I think it may have been an accident. Moving swiftly on. Alice in New Jersey writes to us.
Alice?
She says, who is the fucking... She says, hi, Car-Boyz. I'm about to start a new job in New York City.
Ooh.
I was going to commute on the train, but with the Woo flu, I think at the moment it's best to drive. I need the biggest bang for my buck. My boss has got me a parking space. I haven't got much money, so that's the good thing. That's the big thing in New York, because parking spaces can be more expensive than an apartment. So at the way New York's going, it's going to be Escape from New York soon. What car can I buy for the least amount of money that will be reliable and get me to and from work? Hang on, I've got to get it right. Okay, Jap. Go Jap and don't go back. Very reliable, 2002, very boring. Honda Accord, $1,500 in New Jersey. 165 on the clock, full service history, though, and only 2 owners. Also, it's you don't need to worry about the cam belt, because I think mine is. So I assume these have got a chain cam belt. 4 tyres, as long as the treads, just check it's not smoking. Won't mind if there's a bit of wear and tear on it. And to be honest, if you come back and find it dented, you won't give a toss, because it's a $1,500 car. That is insanely good. The other one we found, Kia Spectra. Never heard of this car, but it's a Kia.
Don't think we have that here.
2006 Kia Spectra EX, very good condition, 125 on the clock, 2,100, but mint condition on the inside and the outside. That was again in New Jersey. Hey,
Noisy.
Hey,
bada bing, bada boom.
Get something from the Far East. That's what we're sort of saying here. If you just don't care and you want it reliable, I mean, really, both of those cars. You're never going to. Yeah, that's the way to avoid the Woo flu. I'm going to have to read the next one, because you haven't got these notes in front of you.
No, I don't.
Oops. Daisy, 36, 24, 26.
Ooh, say that again?
Yeah, 36, 24, 26.
Nice. Could be a phone number.
Could be phone number. Phone number for let's just moving on. She's moving to Bangkok, Thailand, from Manchester. Wants to know if she should buy a car here and ship it there. No, you shouldn't. You should never drive in Bangkok. What are you thinking? Listen, Bangkok is. I lived there for 3 years, and I never drove. It is the worst city for driving in the world. Plus, I imagine you're going to do an expat job. They've got sky trains, they've got the metro, they've got buses, they've got taxis, they've got motorcycle taxis. They've even got these, which are tuk-tuks, which are hilariously good fun to drive around in. There are lots of accidents.
They're having a really good time on that. Look at them in the back.
She's rich. She's enjoying herself.
Hey.
She's soaking up all the diesel fumes of the dirty Bangkok streets. She can't get over it. She's having a whale of a time. Right. Do not drive in. Mates of mine still live in Thailand. If there's an accident and you have a crash, you as a Westerner are likely to take the fall for it, whether or not it was your fault or not.
Oh, okay.
The way it works in Thailand. I've been in a
See.
taxi where there was an accident a few cars up ahead, and the guy I was with went, "We need to get out of here." We just paid the taxi driver and walked off. Why? He said, "We're white. We're going to get blamed."
Wow.
I don't think you need to. I'm not saying Thailand's not a lovely place. It is, but I would not. I would not buy a car in Thailand.
Yeah.
I'd hire a car when you get out in the countryside or by the beach. Hire a motorcycle, but in the centre of Bangkok, there's also very few maps of the city that bear any relation to where you are. I used to guess how to. Well, you never have this map. They couldn't find a proper bloody map anywhere. So I'd have this tourist map, and suddenly the road there's a building here. Because when they designed the map, they'd suddenly decided at the end of this road needed a building. And I'm like, well, how do I get around this? I worked at the TV station there, and the first day I went to work, I actually had to walk through somebody's back garden. There was a little guy reading the paper, and he went, "Hello." And I went, "Oh, Modern 9 TV." And he went, "That way." I went, "Thank you." Walked through his, yeah. Just, it's more fun getting one of those.
It does.
One thing you could consider, though, Daisy, tell me your answer, is when you are going to leave Bangkok, if you're there for a few years, you might consider buying a car because they're cheaper there than they are here. And import, you won't have to pay the import duty, and they also drive on the proper side of the road. They drive on the left, like British and the Australians, not like the Americans. They're cheaper there. The Honda Jazz is assembled in Rayong province, just outside of Bangkok. And if you fancy something bigger, the Isuzu D-Max is, I think, half price compared to what it was in the UK. I should have bought one. I didn't, but I should have bought one. The only thing you're going to have to deal with is when you bring any of those cars back, you have to get them registered for British roads. Yeah. You have to put a heater in them. They don't have heaters. They have aircon, but no heaters.
I don't suppose they have a reason to have heaters in there.
Look, this is Thailand. This is the weather for Thailand. For 6 months of the year, it's hot and dry. And the other 6 months of the year, it's hot and wet. Finally, we have Donald T in Glasgow. He says, "All right, Car-Boyz, love the show." He's seen lots of adverts on the television for miracle creams that can get rid of the scratches on the car. Are these too good to be true? I'll let you take this one.
I would say they are too, but I've seen them on Instagram where they go, "Oh, look," and it will buff out any scratches and go, "How on earth can that ever do?"
No.
Even Teacup's a bit dodgy at times, but no, I would steer clear well of these stuff.
Yes, it's a complete lie. A scratch is a scratch is a scratch. If you scratch your paintwork, you can't buy a miracle cream that will fill in its scratch and then miraculously return the paint there. The only thing you can do, and it's the same, you were talking about Teacup, and you're right, is you can polish the scratch out. So you can polish the area around the scratch. You can polish, because usually you'll have a V or whatever the scratch is. You can polish that, and you can make it look like you can't actually see the scratch. But when the car gets dirty, you'll see the scratch. My father has a scratch along the back. It was the rear quarter of the car. It's very thin, long thing. If he polishes it, you can't see it. It's great. When it gets dirty, the scratch comes back. The only way to get it sorted is to get somebody in. I mean, touch-up paint doesn't work. You need to get a professional, somebody that does this. I've got a guy that does it. Lovely, cash in hand. That's what we like to hear. And he does a little spray. When my car gets clipped, he comes and sprays it and fills it in. This stuff on the television, Donald, is snake oil. Don't get conned into it.
Don't go anywhere near it.
And that was, it'll just be Teacup, won't it? Effectively. Yes, so you can get, there's the address, yet again, for your questions to the mailbag, and we will do our best to answer them. Is it time for the quiz?
It's time for the quiz.
Hang on, let me get here. Here we go.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. It is, of course, time for this week's quiz. We're testing one lucky contestant on the United Colours of Cars.
Ooh, okay.
And unlike the fashion brand, there's nothing controversial about this week's quiz.
I used to go out with a girl that looked after the Benetton's grandchildren.
Ooh.
Not the racing team, the people that make the United
Yeah,
Colours of Benetton.
she looked after the racing team. Yeah.
She looked after. She was a great girl. They all liked her in the racing team. She looked after every single one.
Yes, so we're talking about car colours this week.
Ooh.
We're going to be testing your knowledge of some famous cars and what colours they were. This week, our contestant is Richard from Southwest London.
Hello.
Oh, drinking his vodka there on a Sunday morning. You're playing for this week for a picture of a FSO Polonaise in bright yellow.
Ooh.
Look at that, with body kit as well.
That's like somebody described what a Ford Escort looked like without seeing it, and the other guy drew it. What does it look like? Well, it's got these sort of C pillars at the back. Yeah. Okay.
Great.
It's brilliant.
So that's what you're playing for this week, the bright yellow FSO Polonaise.
And was that formerly a prize on Bullseye?
Bullseye or 3-2-1, one of them.
Yeah.
Yes. So all you have to do is tell me what colour these famous cars were.
Okay.
And if you need help, I'll give you some multiple choice answers should you need them. So,
okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
Eyes down, look in. Question number 1. Mr. Bean drove a green Austin Mini.
Yes.
But what colour was the bonnet? Was it A? Would you like a clue?
Yeah, go on.
A, was it also green, or B, was it black?
No, it's black.
Let's have a look. Yes, there he is. The Mayor for London on his Mini.
He's a lot bigger than the Mini.
It might be the angle.
There you go. That's a lot. Right, yes. Yeah.
Car's bigger than the person.
Person's
bigger than the car.
It's like watching that guy with who's the guy with it draws an eye on his hand.
Oh, not David
Blaine. Yeah, David Blaine. Amazing.
There you go. So there is Agent.
That's how you solve congestion. That he can't.
Yeah.
You put a sofa on top of a car.
The black bonnet on the green.
Nice.
So there you go. 1 out of 1. So
Thank
far.
you.
Question number 2. In the UK, in the opening credits of the TV series Minder with George Cole and Dennis Waterman.
Yes.
What colour was the Ford Capri they were looking at?
No, white.
Let's have a look if you're right.
Come on. Yay! Oh, with a vinyl roof.
Yes. And as an escort, it looks like an escort. Irish 2000 or Mexico?
Mexico, something like that, isn't it? Yeah, very nice.
But there you go. It was white. 2 out of 2. Well
Fantastic.
done. Well on the way for the yellow.
Oh, that picture. Is that Poland in the background? It looks like a wintry Poland, doesn't it?
I'm guessing it could be, yeah.
Yes.
That does look like Poland.
If you are Polish and you know where this is, that car doesn't exist anymore. That has rusted away to nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, is there a bit of the Baltic? Is that the seaside? Could be the
Possibly.
Yeah.
We're not going to send you there. We're just sending you the picture.
Damn.
So, question number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Magician Paul Daniels was famous for having a Bentley with the number plate MAG1C.
Not a lot.
What colour was his Bentley? Was it A, red, or B, green?
Oh, now hang on a second. He
also had a Ferrari
with Magic 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
He transferred it over.
I don't think anybody. Do you know what? If you're buying a Bentley and you're buying a red Bentley, then mind you, maybe he would. You see, this is confusing because look, if you've got class, you buy a Bentley in certain colours. I would say like a duck egg blue, wood green, British racing green, silver, maybe a black. Black's a little bit too funeral directory, but certainly one of those type of colours. Red Bentley screams somebody that owns a scrapyard, likes to holiday in Marbella.
Yes.
Wears a lot of gold jewellery. I'm going to say red. Did he buy green?
Right. It's green. It is green.
Damn. Sorry, Paul.
Plate, MAG1C.
I'm sorry. That's awful of me. I know he's. I'm sorry, Paul. I thought less of you. I do apologise to your magic skills.
He did have a red Ferrari though.
Yes, that's correct.
That would have been too obvious.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 out of 3 so far.
Okay.
Also, British entertainer Jimmy Tarbuck.
Also
had a personalised. He also had a personalised number plate on his Mercedes, which was COM1C.
See what? CUN? No.
No. COM1C, which incidentally, little did you know, both him and Paul Daniels bought it when it was new. They registered those number plates when they were new.
Really? Wow.
But what colour was his Mercedes? Was it A, blue, or B, white?
Uh, See, Jimmy Tarbuck, the last time I saw Jimmy Tarbuck, he was doing an
Oh,
advert
boom, boom.
for Farm Foods with a big gap in his teeth.
Yes.
Now, if you're down doing the old advert for Farm Foods, I'm thinking, it's difficult, isn't it? I mean, really, I'd want to say, what were the colours? It was green or what?
Was it A, blue, or B, white?
You see, I'm gonna stick. I'm on this road saying he's quite a chappy. He eats farm foods. He wears a lot of Pringle golfing jumpers.
He is a
Hangs out
Scouser.
with Brucey. Oh, nice one, my love. He's like the.
Who I think may have also had a number plate BR or B.
Really, Brucey once passed me driving a Silver Shadow in
Nice.
Jewish Racing Gold
Nice.
in North London. I was on a bus. I went, "It's Brucey." I think Jimmy Talbot's the last one. There was him, Kenny Lynch.
Yes.
Brucey, and they all used to go and play golf together. Screw him.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it's a chav. Let's go for white.
Let's see if you're right. It is white.
Yay!
Yes.
Hey! I like
there
that. Farm Foods.
Well done. 3 out of 4. So, question number 5. Mark Bolan was sadly killed in his Mini 1275. Yes.
Wrapped it around a tree, didn't they?
Yes, he did. It wasn't an old oak tree, though. What colour was his Mini? Was it A, grey, or B, purple?
Oh, come on. It's Boland. It's got to be purple, hasn't it?
Let's see if you're right. It is purple with a gold stripe.
Ooh, nice. That's is it the 1250? So is that the Cooper?
The Clubman, it was.
The Clubman. Nice car.
Yes.
Lovely little wheels. Yes.
Wrapped it around a sycamore tree.
Oops.
Yes. So, question number 6. Roland Rat was a TV character in the 80s. Sounds like probably based on Bob Dylan. Roland Rat drove around. Roland Rat drove around in a Ford Anglia known as the Ratmobile. What colour was it?
Rat rapping.
Oh. Was it A? Oh yes.
Rat rapping.
Yes. Was it A, beige, or B, pink?
I think it was pink. My memory serves me right. I think it was pink.
Let's have a look. It is pink.
There he is. All right. Voiced, of course, by Greg Dyke, who was the
was
it? No. But every time I think of Roland Rat, I think of the former controller of the BBC, Greg Dyke, who was at the time in charge of GMTV.
Yes. Greg Dyke, met him several times. Absolutely lovely bloke.
Did he go, "Hey, Simon, lovely to see you"?
I don't know. I assumed he thought I was someone else because he just came up to me and started chatting. It's just
really
strange. Yes. I don't know.
I did that with Willie Carson once, the jockey.
Yes.
I went, "All right, Willie," and he went, "All right, Dad." So my mate went, "Do you know him?" I went, "No." It's just Willie Carson. All right.
Brilliant.
Question of sport.
Yes, of course. The Ratmobile was pink. Question number 7.
Yep.
In the In-Betweeners.
Okay.
Simon drove a Fiat Cinquecento. It probably refers back to that picture with all your mates in the back.
Yeah.
He drove a Fiat Cinquecento. What colour was the Cinquecento? Was it A, yellow, or B, baby blue?
I think it was yellow. I didn't watch this TV series, British TV series, never watched it, but I would say yellow.
Let's have a look.
Is it yellow?
Yeah. It's a yellow with a red door.
Yes. That's
Incidentally,
Cock Lane. Yes, it's exactly. That is that. Mine was a Fiat Panda, and it was red with an orange boot tailgate. Class. Because that's the only one we could find at the breakers yard.
I've also seen someone's done this with I think the new Fiat Panda. They've had a yellow Fiat Panda and they put a red door in it.
Brilliant. And of course you need two keys.
Yes.
Yeah. Nobody's stealing that.
Absolutely brilliant. So absolutely right. That was yellow. Question number 8. So far, 7 out of 8. Question number 8. The Lotus Formula 1 cars between 1972 and 1986.
Black.
Sponsored by the cigarette brand JPS.
Black.
And what other colour?
Black and gold.
Black and gold. Let's see. Yes, black and
Now,
gold.
you know why I know this? Because when I was a little kid, I had
Yes.
a clockwork one of these that you wound up. It was
Yes.
big. It was about 2 foot long. You wound it up. My grandmother got it by smoking John Player Special cigarettes and had to save up the
Fantastic.
vouchers to pay for the
Yes.
wind-up clock. Yeah, so her demise, mind you, she didn't die till she was nearly 100, so she did quite well smoking the old JPS cigarettes.
Yeah.
Fantastic car, the Lotus John Player Special.
Which, of course, they did. I think they did a mini in JPS colours as
Ooh,
well.
nice.
Black with gold stripes in it.
They
So,
were
well done.
and I know you've never been a smoker, but JPS are horrendous cigarettes. Sorry, the cigarette brands. Most I don't really like. I used to smoke cigarettes, but I haven't smoked for about 20 years. But bloody JPS were awful, awful. They were so harsh. Disgusting. Sorry.
Us non-cigarette smokers.
Yeah, would
do
never
not
know the unpleasure of smoking one of those things. It was like it was Russian or something.
7 out of 8. Question number 9.
Cool.
In the 1980s TV series Bergerac with your friend of mine, Jim Nettles.
Now.
He drove around in a Triumph Roadster.
Yes.
What colour?
Burgundy or wine or claret.
It was burgundy. Or
yes.
Bordeaux. One of those.
Or Bordeaux. Oh, there he is, solving a crime. No crime happened on Jersey. He just sort of and he's got I like the jeans and the jacket as well. Got
yes.
the jacket going on there.
Sporting that style before many others.
I've seen that man naked. I have.
You have.
We used to go to the same gym. I've seen John Nettles naked in the steam room. I'm not going to say anything. I'm not just I have seen John Nettles naked.
That should be a feature for another time. Celebrities you've seen naked. There are a few.
No, just John Nettles. I really want to see Jenny Agutter naked in 1978, but that unfortunately, my time machine is not available for that one.
Absolutely right. 8 out of 9 so far, and for the win, the picture of the yellow FSO Polonaise.
Oh, look at it! What a beauty she is! It's just the rear end has been. The wheels are tiny; they look like they've come off a sofa. But it's not bad at the front. Looks a bit, yeah. And then what's this deal with the extra window at the back? It just looks bizarre.
I do not know.
Good Polish car.
Yes. But for the FSO Polonaise, last but not least, the Ford Torino in Starsky and Hutch was red.
Yes.
But what colour was the stripe?
The stripe was, of course, white.
It was. So you don't need any options.
There you go.
Indeed.
I have a Matchbox version of this, which my 5-year-old son has managed to destroy the windscreen with, and also lose the orange light on top.
No.
I'm not getting upset about it. It's one of the Starsky and Hutch's sort of, as a kid, they were the best things to sliced bread. He has no concept of Starsky and Hutch. Look at the size of those tyres and also the size of that afro.
And of course, it did have a yellow light on the top.
Yes.
Orange light on the top. But as we were talking earlier on in the show, he's going to replace that with a white bulb.
Yeah, just a white bulb. So, can we put that picture back up? Because if you're an undercover policeman, can I suggest that possibly isn't the car to go undercover
It does stick out a little too.
Can you imagine that? Hey, you guys have got to solve. I'm the chief, the big black chief. Hey, guy, get your ass in here. Captain Davy, get in here. I've got to solve this crime, boys. Now, you got that Gran Torino downstairs. Yeah, boss, we're going there. No. Just take the $4 green sedan. It's an undercover job. No, boss, we need this really loud red car opposite the. No, but they're gonna know it's you. Everybody knows the cops drive the red. No, boss, I'll be fine. It was never that conversation. It was bizarre.
I guess not. So congratulations, you won the picture of the yellow FSO Polonaise.
Yay! The crowd are going crazy. Yay! I can't wait to get that. I'm gonna frame it. Frame it.
You can put that along with your Sanyong Rodius.
That's what it is. It's a Sanyong Rodius mistake. It's like, what is this extra frigging window here for at the back? It's just bizarre. I do quite like an ugly car, though, and that definitely is an ugly car. I cannot wait to get that in the post. That's about it from us. Usual contact details. There you go. Car-Boyz with a Z at outlook.com. Facebook, Car-Boyz with a Z at Car-Boyz 4 Zs. Boys Horse with a Z, car-boys with a Z at car_boys with a Z at the Twitter. At the Instagram, we're at car_boys. We're Tree Zs. That's it from us. Have yourself a good week. Try not to get ill. Or if you do, wash your hands a lot.
2 meters apart.
Drink a lot of bleach. Oh no, don't do that one. Don't do that one. Don't listen to the American president. He's a fool.
He doesn't know.
He doesn't know anything. And we'll see you next time on the show that knows all about cars. Car-Boyz. Bye-bye.
Bye.